What's up, my people?
Hey.
Welcome to the Restoring the Breach podcast. I'm your host, Greg.
And I'm Cachet.
Where we specialize in unlocking the leader inside of you. Ooh, it's been a long time.
It has been.
Definitely been on hiatus. But we're excited because we're launching a new mini-series called Let's Talk with the Colemans.
Mm-hmm. Let's Talk with the Colemans is exciting to us because this one is more personal. Mm-hmm. It is unscripted. And we go deeper in conversation.
Indeed.
Yeah. Do you feel like we went deeper than we have ever
Absolutely.
gone before?
About everything.
Yeah.
Everything. Even just everyday things.
Yeah.
So sit back.
Relax and enjoy this episode. She sat right in the middle.
She's adding extra body heat.
She better not say anything, too. She adding extra body heat to who?
There's heat to come off of her, man.
Man, I know that, but is she
like
even
another kid?
You? She ain't touching you?
No, because she just migrated from over here by me over to you. Her band's been hot.
I don't know what this is like Grover Joe's dog.
Mm-hmm. Another beautiful evening.
Mm-hmm. We actually did two things in a row. I'm proud of us. The ice cream, even though they shouldn't have got nothing.
Mm-hmm.
Kids shouldn't have got nothing.
Yeah, they was pretty close to getting left. Wasn't no lie there.
I mean, it'd have been just me and you. We'd have spent like $10. We'd have spent like $5, $12.
Oh, $9.50.
Probably.
Get it down to a science.
Yep. But no. I guess. We like them. Look at... I can't get over it. She's right in the middle. She wants to be on camera.
Mm-hmm.
So, I almost forgot, that you went to work. I was like, did you go to work today?
Oh, I ain't forget.
How was work?
No, it was a hectic one today.
What's hectic one for you?
A lot of calls.
Uh-huh.
You know, in my job, I deal with a lot of policy.
Yeah.
So a lot of policy changes, procedures with the courts that change often.
Okay.
That impact my department.
Yeah.
Making sure that my people are informed while also tabling their gripes with the changes.
Yeah.
And taking their input because I have to account for that, how it impacts our department.
Yeah.
You know, how we manage the clients that we work with. So.
You know, they say the higher you go up, the more it's like that. It's more policy and stuff versus hands-on.
Yeah, absolutely.
Stuff. Do you prefer hands-on over?
I guess it depends on what line of work you're doing. Like if
in the work
for
you're
me,
doing right now.
I like to be hands-on. If I'm dealing with people, I like the face-to-face interaction and conversation with people.
Yeah.
However, I do like the liberty of having free time where you don't have to deal with people.
Yeah.
You know, so
that's something.
Unfortunately, you know, fortunately for me, but unfortunately for my folks, they have to deal with people from
all the time, from everywhere.
Start of work till end of work.
Yeah.
Unless
you
it's
were
the
there.
lunch break.
You can relate to them.
Yep.
Okay. My day wasn't too.
Gotta get you some water with lemon.
I don't know what it is.
You're constantly clearing your throat.
My throat be doing weird stuff.
Let me clear my throat.
Shut up. You're not me. Right. Just stop. Yeah. My day, I don't know. You know how sometimes you blink your eyes and it be gone?
Mm-hmm.
That's kind of how it feels. You know, I be getting up with a motivation every day. Today I'm going to work out, put away a basket of laundry because that don't never end. And then I'm going to do 12 things. I was supposed to be mapping out this stuff for this birthday party. It is next week. And it's probably not a lot, but it's in my head. So it feels like it's a lot.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know. But an interesting topic came up today. And I was like, this is the perfect conversation for this.
Okay, let's go. Let's segue.
So talking with my friend, We talk all the time, but we were talking about the belief of some people that marriage is just a piece of paper.
Mm-hmm.
It kind of goes with what we were just talking about, but we were talking about how we didn't believe that, but the guy was like, well, it's just a piece of paper. So,
Oh, that's unfortunate.
yeah, I don't, I think the spiritual side, people don't understand,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
they probably feel it, whether they can say what it is or not, but they don't understand it. And so it's easy to be like marriage is just a piece of paper.
I have a habit of getting real deep, but
Uh-huh.
I think I'm gonna bring it very practical into a surface conversation,
Uh-huh.
outside of a spiritual context, because we know that if you don't have a relationship with God, you're very limited on what you understand in terms of biblical principles. But on a natural space, there's so many benefits of understanding
Yeah.
the joy and the beauty of relationship. Just like, oh man, like knowing that you have somebody that you're committed to.
Mm-hmm.
See, but you have to be able to appreciate that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? If you have a issue with trust,
Yeah.
then commitment is something you yourself may have a problem with.
Yeah. You just might not value that. Like,
Yeah.
if I can be with someone, even if it's in a long-term relationship, but we never get married,
Mm-hmm.
for some people, they feel like that's enough.
Yeah.
For me, I've always felt like that's undone. Like something isn't complete here.
Yeah, but I think we hit this on the last conversation. All that's fine and good until somebody dies.
Yeah. And people be acting like that, like, especially if it's something tragic or sudden or something.
Mm-hmm.
And people act like, oh, yeah, that's that's his girlfriend, and I'll make sure that he. But when it comes down to it, them parents, them siblings, them whatever, if you don't have no space, most of the time they're going to make the decisions.
Well, let's back up. Let's back up, because I think the topic is dope.
Mm-hmm.
So
Is marriage just a piece of paper?
Yeah. So let's unpack that a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
Like, what are the benefits of marriage?
To me,
if we're in yeah. I mean, we picture and we
what are the benefits of marriage?
Mm-hmm.
I think that they'll all sound the things I'm thinking of may all sound superficial, and like something that you can do with a girlfriend or boyfriend.
Okay.
Because I'm thinking about like having someone to just do life with.
Mm-hmm.
And you can do that with a friend, you can do that with a boyfriend or girlfriend. But I think that there's something deeper when you vow to like commit yourself
Mm-hmm.
to a person.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that when it's boyfriend and girlfriend, it's easier to get out of it.
Mm-hmm.
Even if it hurts and we're sad, like it just feels like there's more weight put on a marriage that makes you think about if you want to go through this whole process of like separation and divorce.
Yeah.
Even in like different states, I'm hearing like they have different laws for divorce.
Mm-hmm.
Like I didn't know that in some places you have to wait a year before you can get divorced. So you got to be separated for a year.
Some states even longer.
That's crazy.
And in others, if you present the right,
I want to get rid of you. I'm getting rid of you.
Yeah.
It's like they're making you think.
The wild part about it is I think the whole folks who don't value the importance of that commitment want an easy way out.
Yeah.
If things go south,
Yeah.
whether they want to admit it or not, if things go south, I have an out. The damaging thing about that is that if you play marriage,
Yeah.
and create all the things like a family, you have children, things of that nature.
Yeah.
Now you got this easy way out. You don't really take into consideration what's being broken.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's the heartbreaking thing, because we see it all the time. We got split homes and broken homes have become so common now.
Yeah.
You know that
I think it's interesting. Like talking to our kids, they don't really know that they're an anomaly. All like that. They don't really like know that because they're around married couple. Like they're around people who are married.
yeah.
They're not around very many unmarried people.
No.
You know, so when they say it, they say like if it's like, yeah, his mom and dad, you know, they're not together or something like that. The way that they say it is like it's so tragic. It's interesting that because they know what it's like to have a 2-parent home. They don't know what it's like to, like even when like since you work hybrid, they're always wondering like, is daddy home today? Is daddy gonna be home today? Like even my oldest, who, you know, he don't show a lot of he doesn't show a lot of emotion in that type of in certain ways like the other ones, but you see it and stuff like that. Like, you gonna be home tomorrow, daddy? Yeah. Yes. It's like, for what? So you can terrorize me all day? Just walk around? You're actually happy I'm here? You know. But it's interesting because they're like, yeah, their parents aren't together. And they say it. It's like, how do you know that this is tragic unless...
Because the environment that they grow in, they have those pieces.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
it's a good thing that they do feel that way about it. You know, we teach them that, you know, not to put your nose up in the air at people.
Yeah.
Because they don't have
really like
some of the similar circumstances that you might have. But we also want them to appreciate the importance and the value of having mom and dad at home.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
So
Because just like a kid who gets everything they want, they don't appreciate it.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
And so we teach them those morals and those values now, and then when they come into understanding, they could take that into relationship. Like we talked about this. It never crossed my mind to walk away. Why was that?
Yeah.
And no matter what we may have been going through, whatever tough conversation we may have, argument, whatever the case may be, even though we didn't have a whole lot of those.
Yeah.
But the thought of leaving never crossed my mind because I'm a product of seeing men who committed themselves to their home, and walking away wasn't an option. So I valued it becoming an adult.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like I think we're in a society. If we become, which sadly we're heading in that direction.
Yeah.
If we become a society when it's weird to see a united family,
Yeah.
then we're really in danger.
I mean, I think people are trying to spin a different narrative about marriage.
Yeah.
And stuff, and I'm seeing more and more. Girl, I'm seeing more and more of it, but you know, it's still interesting to kind of see and check in to see people's perspectives about it. And so, it's definitely more than paper. It just from personal experience of having relationships with people who maybe even said that they were going to marry me, and it didn't happen. It didn't feel done, and that's just me. It didn't feel like it was done until it was done. And then when it was done, it was like, this is done. Like I told you about how I was in the car on our wedding day, like, ooh, snap. Like that's it. It was like doom and joy all.
Oh man.
It was Joom.
You're definitely the dude in a relationship. 'Cause I ain't never, it's the stereotype of the guy that is
Don't
at the
call me a
altar
dude.
shaking and at the brink of running away because of his fear
No,
of
I wasn't at
commitment.
the brink of running away. I think there was a final feeling that was like,
Yeah, I get
ew,
it.
snap.
Yeah.
Dun, dun, dun. I think I made that same. I
You
said
did.
the same. But that's how it was. There ain't no lie there. So I don't know. I think it's an interesting conversation. Like we're still having this conversation. But to me, it just sounds like the maturity of the, you know, the guy's maturity level to me isn't there. If he's looking at it like, I mean, it's just a piece of paper.
Oh,
It's
so
like-
you're saying, I was trying to figure out where you were going with that.
Yeah.
You said it's so interesting that we're having this conversation as a society.
Not us as a society.
Okay.
Not us. We know better. We ain't silly.
No, I'm
But
just painting a picture.
no.
Yeah.
There, I think as a society, it's interesting. Like we're still having this
Mm-hmm.
after even the stuff that was played out on TV and stuff like that, where you see like the wife in a coma or whatever, and the husband want to make a decision, and the family ain't, or or the and they have to sue the husband. They had this like just all these different
Oh yeah, that's not
stories.
TV. That was real life.
No, it was real life,
Yeah.
but I'm saying we're seeing in the news that type of thing is real.
Yeah, absolutely.
And it's just like we're still having a conversation about why it's important. Just like in this way, like I don't know. I don't know. I just think that people pick and choose what they want to live by. And I can't force you to do any different. I can live a life to and share if you if you ask or if you inquire, but for some people they just choose to be immature and that's where they want to stay. And that's just
I think it's ignorance. You make choices based on what you value.
mm-hmm.
And until the light bulb goes off and you understand the value, you're going to make choices based off it. I don't think anybody intentionally chooses destruction. It's just like somebody out here who's no, nobody's intentionally, even the people, somebody who jumps off a bridge regrets it at the moment they jump.
Yeah.
And that's the thing. And that was firsthand account from a survivor of a Golden Gate Bridge suicide attempt. But the thing is, like somebody out here who feels like they have to go out here and do something criminal to provide for their family.
Yeah.
You don't intentionally want to hurt people. There's a mindset that says, in order for me to survive, in order for me to provide for my family, I have to do what I have to do.
Yeah.
And once you get to a place, and you hear this from people who go to jail all the time, when they had the light bulb moment, but now you've wasted life,
mm-hmm.
they're saying it wasn't worth it.
Yeah.
They're saying for 7 minutes of danger, I'm now spending 70 years in prison.
I had that conversation with our son today, with Micah today, because Juliana, she told you how he wanted her to be quiet. Mm-hmm. She was getting on his nerves, and he pushed her up against the door a certain kind of way. And I had that conversation with him, just telling him what you don't recognize, what you did not solicit, what she did mm-hmm. didn't solicit you to put your hands on her. Mm-hmm. And you need to learn self-control. Mm-hmm. Because you could end up in jail. Yeah. Because you did something that you didn't mean to do, and now you're serving life in prison or whatever. It's not worth it. But I did talk to her too about nitpicking, because she instigates things, but that don't mean she deserves to be hit.
Well, the sad part in crime, the only difference between the person who, in terms of judgment, mm-hmm. intent only determines the amount of punishment you're going to get. Yeah. But either way, you still get punishment for the behavior.
Because you made a choice, even if it was in the moment. And I'm constantly saying that to him, so for him to understand. Then I was talking about jail. I was like, jail is not a place you want to be. And we had all kind of conversations about what jail entails, including they be raping people in jail. You want to mm-hmm. be raped?
Mm-hmm. Oh man.
I was like, listen, if we're gonna go there, we're gonna go there. But anyway, that was how my day was. Conversations, and I did get a chance to work out. I still didn't get a chance to fully plan in the way that I want to, but it will come together. I do think I officially decided I'm going to make the cake, even though something deep inside is also like Juliana's voice. You don't have to, mommy. And I'm like, I know, but I want to. I have to write it all down. That's the problem when you're an overthinker and a planner. If I don't get it out my head, it just feels like Tasmanian devil in my mind with the ideas. So I don't know. I'm trying to get there. I feel like I will. But proud of my little boy, the baby, finally getting up, asking to go to the bathroom more. Something I'm nervous about, something I've been praying about. But him with preschool, like, am I going to not be able to send him because of this? But just the everyday stuff. Everyday stuff.
Yeah. Potty training is never fun.
I feel like this is the hardest and the longest too. Like, why is he so old?
He ain't. We just have older kids. The
Are we
doctors
sure?
The doctors already told. Well,
but everybody else, I think, got potty trained younger. So there's like this. I'm sorry, man.
Stop doubting him and leave that dog's feet alone.
I'm just.
Golly.
Listen.
Yeah, the doctor herself said that he's not behind the curve. We just have like old children.
I guess because and I know you shouldn't compare because everybody's comprehension is different. I guess because I think about how everybody else's age, and I'm just like, I even thought about like, you don't even know how to wipe your butt. So now you're just now telling me you have to go to the bathroom in that way. Now I got 1 month to teach you how to wipe your butt. Are you gonna come home from school?
You ain't got no 1 month to teach him how to wipe his butt.
I'm talking about to be able to go to the bathroom in school.
Yeah.
So you're gonna come home from school with a poopy booty?
Well, no, he can't go to school until he's potty trained. So that we don't have 1 month. We have until he gets to that space. Your clock is when everybody else goes to school.
I signed him up though, so I might have to like pull him out. I don't know.
No, he can start whenever he's ready because they won't take him if he can't.
Yeah.
So that's just what it is.
I saw little ones with pull-ups, but I think that's just in case there's an accident, not like because they getting a diaper change. This ain't daycare. But I just, I have a little insecurity about that. But he's coming along. Oh, my body is like, we are sleepy. We're tired. It's been one of them days of just busyness and arguing and crying and having to ignore that little crybaby. But the good part was the ice cream. The ice cream was like a good ending to the day of everybody just, all right. To me, I feel like we really are trying to do intentional things.
Well, yeah, we live by that. So trying to create memories, but it has to become kind of just a lifestyle thing and not you walking around with this radar looking for intentional moments. It really isn't like that. It's having the mindset of, okay, this is an opportunity to have fun with them. And so you do it. And afterwards, it's like, oh, that was nice.
That was nice.
That was nice. It was hard getting out the house, but it was a nice moment. I appreciate that.
Yeah, it was good. Everybody had delicious ice cream. And with our family size, it didn't break the bank. Because everything breaks the bank. Where are you going? Oh. Well, excuse me. Oh.
She's probably upset she didn't get any ice cream. She is a part of this family.
Well, look, I don't have nothing to do with that. The places do be giving the dogs ice cream too.
Yeah.
You know that if we took her,
she'll be all right.
We took her to Brewster's, they'll give her free ice cream. They had a sign on the thing that said it.
I know we probably exceed what the average black household does for dogs, but this is still a black household. Let's just make that clear.
I'm just saying.
Yeah.
She could have it like one time for the homies. Like we could take her on her birthday or something. Mm-hmm. You don't want the dog to have like a party?
No.
You get it?
But this makes me think about. This makes me think about.
Why you ignoring?
No, I want to get on this conversation piece.
We don't get it.
This makes me think about the whole.
He played me.
The video that we saw,
Which
the one I shared on Facebook, the Leaving Cleve.
Oh.
Because I think it's something that when we talk about, that is a biblical concept, a concept that God created for marriage. That is a necessity for healthy relationship. That is being lost when society goes in the direction of splitting the home or not valuing marriage and the importance of you guys creating your own family. That video talking about when you get married, you are now creating another phase of family, and your parents and your siblings will now become extended family.
Yeah, you're creating a new family. That's what they said.
Yeah.
So for Kant, okay, so that's basically what he said.
Mm-hmm.
And he said, man, he broke it down very practically. So just to provide context, he really broke it down practically to when those things are affected.
Mm-hmm.
Holidays, where you live,
how you raise your children,
mm-hmm. where you go to church, things that'll affect what it used to be.
Yeah.
You know, we have experienced, man, I'll never forget our very first Thanksgiving together. We weren't even married yet. We were just engaged. But I remember we were like running around like crazy, just trying to be with everybody. That was the year. It was before we got married. We was like, we ain't doing it like this again.
Mm-hmm.
Remember?
I thought that was the first year of marriage.
No, we were engaged still. But now, because we were engaged, and it was still kind of new. Like, it was several months in, but we were like planning a wedding and stuff. But everybody wanted the engaged couple to come. Mm-hmm. And just when we thought we were done, I got a phone call from like my mom and them like, "Oh, you ain't coming over here?" Like, it was crazy. I remember what I had on that day. That's how crazy it was.
Yeah, I don't go back that far.
I remember,
but I do remember
you don't
the
go
chaos.
back to last week.
Yeah. No, I don't.
I remember what I had. It was crazy, and we were like, it ain't going to never be like this again. And so I think we started to kind of like establish slowly, like, we'll go here. Then we started having kids. And at first we did it, and we had everybody come over a couple times when we had bought our home and stuff. But after that, we started having too many kids. It started being too much. Mm-hmm. Just getting them out the house sometimes was like, God, man, might as well stay home. I'm all sweating.
I think the biggest wrestle for me wasn't the running around, because I come from a background where we ran for every holiday all the time.
Every holiday? Even Christmas?
No, well, Christmas we ran around. No, we did some running for Christmas. It wasn't as prominent, but Thanksgiving,
yeah,
Easter,
I mean,
those were the running holidays.
If I could be honest, because my mom and dad were divorced, I also did go at least 3 places every holiday. Mm-hmm. But for some reason, it didn't feel like that much. Like, it was home, then down the street to Daddy's house, and then we would go next door to my stepmom and her mom's house, because they were literally right next door. And then we come up the street to my grandma's, and that's how we would end it. My grandma's house was right next door to my house. For some reason, them places, that was every holiday.
Now, this makes me think of one thing here.
What?
When we go back to the conversation of us coming from 2 different places. Mm-hmm. So I'm used to my whole family running around.
Yeah.
You came from, after your parents divorced, a single parent home.
Uh-huh. I did the running around.
So whenever you got married, what did you want?
To not do the running around.
Uh-huh.
I never put that together.
And then me, I had a concept of my family runs around.
Yeah.
For the holidays as a family.
Yeah.
So when you didn't want to go and you would say the dreadful statement that you used to say, which was what?
What? Wait, what time?
What did you used to say whenever I wanted to go somewhere and you wanted to stay home?
Was it just me, or was it when we had kids?
Well, no, when we got married. Well, it really started when we had kids. We established the whole not running around, but I was really wrestling.
Oh, because I wanted to create our own traditions.
Yeah, so what would you say?
I don't know.
You could go.
Oh, yeah.
And I hated it because
I was trying to release you from the burden of, like, I don't want to go.
Yeah.
But you can go.
But the norm for me is that as a family, as a unit,
I never put that together. 15 years, Greg, and I never put
that that light bulb just went off for me.
Wow.
But it paints a picture of how when 2 people are coming from 2 different places, now you're creating a culture in your own home. And this is where this is why it's important to communicate and to care about what the other person, how they feel and how they think, and not get offended. Because if we're able to sit and why do you feel that way?
Yeah.
And that's where we really got to.
It took time to get there, because I feel like one of our really biggest fights we ever had was a holiday.
Yeah.
And I wasn't, like, I was really separated from my family a lot.
Yep.
Like, and not on purpose, just kids and ministry and just doing our own life was just so, like, for real, I had already, like, junior been separated from my family anyway, because when I started, like, going heavy in ministry, I was more with ministry, my church family, did anybody. I was not, like, the fortunate thing for you is your immediate family was all still there.
Yeah.
For the most part. Like,
Yeah.
when we got together, even your dad was there. Before that, it was still your mom and you and your brother, your sister. So that's mostly everybody. And daddy's at home. But, you know, it was just me and this in the church family, and I was always with them, with a little side of my family, but mostly it was always church. And so when we got together, I remember we were at our first place and they were doing something, and I started wanting to, like, settle down because we was at church all the time. Monday to Monday, there was something every day, which for a season was great and exciting and fun and something to look forward to. But when we got married, I started wanting to not do that all the time. I didn't want to go to church on Sunday morning, then church on Sunday, like, didn't hang out with the people I was with all Sunday evening, and then see them tomorrow at open gym, and then Tuesday praise team practice, and then Wednesday was back. Like, and so I was saying, you'd be like, I remember you used to be, like, sad. Like, you don't want to go to the thing? And I was like, no. I remember one day us sitting on the couch and you were just like, you wasn't feeling it. You looked like I was raining on your parade. And I just was like, I ain't trying to go. You could go. You. I ain't trying to go without my wife, you know.
Oh, and I don't want to say y'all women, but a part of me wants to say y'all women be doing this stuff. Because the thing is, the wrestle, I know that you really don't want me to go.
No, that's not always true.
No. You mean to tell me if I went, you'd be perfectly fine with me going?
Greg.
No, I don't believe it.
I'm laughing
because that's a complex that I have.
Yeah.
I could not believe
that.
I couldn't believe that I felt like it was you were saying that to,
like, the holding the hands thing,
diffuse the conflict, or just to say, well, if you want to go, you could go.
I think sometimes it would depend on what it is, because when it was your family, I just rather you go, because I don't like no weird awkward elephant spaces and weird breathing, because the thing is, you be saying, no, I'm good. But I could feel, like, sometimes I would purposely ignore the elephant because I could feel the breath that Thanksgiving is coming and you might want to go, but you don't want to say nothing to me because you don't know if I want to go.
Yeah, that's true.
And I could feel it, and I would know, like, we're going to eventually have to talk about this, but I really just didn't. I would wait till the last minute. But I think that a lot of that, the turning point, that's what I was getting to, change when we had that big fight Christmas. Oh, man, that fight was rough. But I had things going on inside and that I was not expressing. And that's why when my aunt called me, I busted out crying. It weirded her out. She got the phone so quick. It was like, I told her that I took a pregnancy test and it was her baby. She was like, oh, gotta go. Like, it was crazy, you know, because I was like, I cried because I just wanted to, I had heard a familiar voice. And I was feeling, I guess, out of place or something. Because I didn't feel weird to say. So when it came to, like, the siblings, for the most part, I felt apart. When it came to the parents, I didn't always feel apart. And that was challenging. Because I know that at any minute I can maybe be the enemy if there's a decision made in my favor. And with it across the board is what it felt like. Like, you don't recognize sometimes when you get married, depending on how you're accepted or not accepted, depending on who it is and all that stuff. You already kind of feel like an outsider. And so it's difficult if you're having any difficulty with anybody, you know. And so at this time, I just think I was feeling isolated and missing my family, which is interesting because that was something that our pastor at the time had told you was important for you to do for me.
Yeah, to make sure that you stay connected with your family.
Yep, and it wasn't happening, not on purpose, just life and kids
just
and everything.
Being busy and not making it, not even catching the flag that it was a priority.
Yeah. And you know, you wouldn't think about it because we still will see your family. We all was at church together.
Yeah.
So you don't feel like, oh, there's a missing link here. Like, because we're still, it wasn't like new in our marriage, but it was like still trying to think of who all was born. It still was new enough that you wouldn't think about that because every Sunday we're seeing all your siblings, your mom and your dad. So you don't recognize a family piece might be missing for me. It's like, oh, my family's here.
Yeah, unless you communicate that to me.
And I didn't know, I didn't have words for that because for years I hadn't been with my family. Years, because I was with church.
Yeah.
And so, you know, I only would feel that whenever they'd have moments where we'd be like, now go grab your family members and y'all all come to the altar together. That's the only time that I would feel like, ooh, snap. I ain't got no family here.
It's a soft topic, but you got me thinking about all the church things we do to make visitors and people in the house uncomfortable.
That is so. It was just, but I think there was like a family teach. I don't know what it was.
I know.
It was something going on, and it was like grab your spouse, grab your family, and then you know we came from a place where a lot of them were together there still. Like when I first started going there, everybody was there. Mom, dad, the sons, the grandsons. It was just the whole family. So you might not, as a leader, even think that like just people here who ain't. But at some point they might say, if you don't have family here, go stand with somebody. And I had a friend who had no family there, and then two other friends that they were married and they took us with them, so it wouldn't be as awkward. But you know, you kind of stand there and feel like, ooh, snap. Yeah, you know.
Yeah, it's
and then if they do it,
or reminds you of an orphan. Like, no matter if you got a proxy, you still feel like
this is not my mom and dad. This is not my sister.
It'd be nice to have my parent here. Yeah, somebody I actually blood related.
I mean, and even the truth of the matter is, even when they would do things like that when you and I were married, it still was me coming to your family, which nobody was being weird about that. But it still gives you the feeling of a outsider or something. Like, I don't really belong in this space like this. And so, you know, we went over to my grandma's house, and it was like, I was happy to see everybody, you know, my sisters and, you know, my grandma. I mean, everybody was there. That was the last Christmas that it was like that. Everybody was there. My grandma had cooked. It was like home. It was like Christmas that I was familiar with. Because when you get married and you're even if there's nothing, even if there's no conflict or not like that, there's still this new establishing thing that's going on that's not new. It's foreign to you still. So if I'm the one who's establishing, all right, well, I like to cook this, or this is what we're going to do for Christmas for our family, it's still different than what you're used to. And so to go back to my grandma's house, which is the place that we always were anyway, and then on Christmas in particular, we always ended there. We ate dinner there. Grandma sat under the tree, the prettiest tree. She always took forever to put that up and pass out everybody's gifts from Georgia and her and Pap and all of that. It was like home. And the Stiller game was on and you was ready to go home. And my family loves you. They do. and they kept going, Shay, Greg look like he's ready to go. They were not.
I don't know. And there was definitely, and I don't know what that deeper issue was with me in that moment, but there was a deeper
I think
issue.
you were ready to go home. I don't know if it was necessarily deeper, but I think, especially after church, because we would do so much for like ministry and stuff,
Yeah.
that you used to be ready to go home.
Yeah.
But for me, a lot of times that would be like my socializing time because I was, I'm a stay-at-home mom. So I don't see my friends. I'm not going out to work with people, grown-ups and stuff like that. So even at church, you'd be ready to go home, and we would say in the morning, because we'd be tired or something, after church we going straight home. But then my friends would start talking, or somebody come, they want to pray, they would have a dream they had, they want to talk about it, or I'm just socializing with them, and it's like, ooh, I forgot I do like y'all, and I like being outside and not cooped up in the house with my kids for the whole week. And you just would be ready to go home. And I think you weren't being rude, and so let me make sure that I say that so it doesn't sound like, ooh, like, why? You weren't being rude. You were just ready to go home. My family loves you. They always have. I always be like, I think they trade me for Greg. That's how much they like him. And
I love them too.
And
I'll go down there without you.
I know you do go down there without me, and I'm okay with sending you down there without me too. That's how much they love you. And they were like, "Oh, Shay, Greg looked like he's ready to go home," and I was like, "Man, I ain't stunting, Greg." Like
that was probably my trigger.
No, it wasn't.
No, I'm just
you
thinking
were
about,
ready to go
I'm
home.
thinking about. I think I was.
But
ready
I
to
didn't say that to you.
I think I might be going back to the space. I think, and it might seem very, very petty, but I think there are certain things that could be triggers that you don't recognize. I think I ain't worried about Greg. I felt
but
like you didn't care that I wanted to go.
I didn't say it to you. I said it like, I did say something to my uncle like,
I heard all that.
I'm debating,
Yeah.
how if I say what I said. It's a little graphic. And you were upset, and so was I, because I hadn't seen my sisters. Like, seeing my sisters in particular is such a wide space because everybody's just so busy all the time. Then when we finally see each other like this, I saw my sister, my youngest sister, Father's Day weekend, and when she walked in the restaurant, I almost cried.
But that's the deeper context that you don't get. If you don't.
But I sometimes you don't. This is the thing about marriage and relationship and just stuff. Sometimes you don't have words for it. Yeah. And it's not even that you're not trying to communicate. That's why I don't buy it all the time when dudes, and women too, I don't need no therapist. We could just talk. It's like, you do need a therapist because some words you can't say. You don't even know how to say it. And you think, oh, we're just going to be able to talk. Lies. Some stuff is so deep, so deeply rooted that you have no idea, like, how to say it. And I didn't know how to express it. I just knew there was a sadness and pain inside.
Yeah.
I didn't know. So when I was around my sisters and my dad and my grandma and just everybody, and everybody's having a good time and laughing and talking, and we didn't even get to the food yet. Yes. Because we had did, because I think I cooked the day before because we had church. It was Christmas Day on a Sunday. So we did Christmas on Christmas Eve. So we had leftovers. But my grandma had cooked, which is another thing that's like home for me. Like, and, that's weird. She's gone. So to not have those moments, and for you in the moment to seem like you didn't care, you were ready to go home, even though you weren't being rude, like, just started just the hugest fight. And I feel like that, I don't even remember, like, obviously we talked about it, like, after the hugest blow up in life when we got home. But clearly we talked about it, but I don't remember, like, talking about it, but we did. We did talk about it, but I feel like that was like a turning point in some ways, the start of a turning point in our relationship with communication and the holidays and what do we want to do. And then some things now you want to stay home more than I do. It's like, all right, we could go, but are you going to make this and do that and do this though? And that's like, I might as well just stay home then. Because I don't feel the same as how the old heads be like, you got to cook a little at home. Like, if I'm going to y'all house, I don't got to cook a little at home.
Yes, you do.
No. Yes. That's why I just cook.
You shouldn't cook as well as you do. That's your fault. Another culture you set. So, you're going to go to somebody's crib, eat macaroni and cheese. And if we don't know for certain it's going to at least get close, remotely close to the caliber set here,
you're spoiled.
Then we need macaroni and cheese here.
You're spoiled. That's what it is. That's what the truth is.
That's a practice, not a principle. It's a practice, but it's not practice.
So I just start being like, I'm just going to cook then. Or we'll go like the week before or after. So then you won't be like, oh, I feel like I ain't even had Thanksgiving.
Yeah, you only get one Thanksgiving a year. Wasting it on no trash food.
Greg called.
So
he's bad. But also, I understand.
Yeah.
I understand. So I feel the same way. Now, one year we was like,
but all this is all a part of the creating your own family.
And
like that's a part. Man. That's one of the beauties of when we talk about in the very beginning about something to value in marriage. Like, you don't really appreciate the creating your own until you look back over what you created.
Yeah.
Until you slow down. We have 5 kids to be able to sit back and say, we got 5 kids.
Yeah.
Like, look at them growing. Look at the memories that we're creating. Look at the experiences that we're having. Look at how they show us how much we need to grow.
Yeah.
Every single day.
And I feel like it and I think that this can happen with 1 kid, 2 kid, but I think the more kids we had, the more it felt like a tradition needs to be established. And that's just the way that I'm wired. It's just too many of y'all to just be all over the place. I cannot, I don't operate in stuff being all over the place. That's why this whole walking on water and as you take a step, I'll show you a step that God's doing with us right now is rough. Because I do not operate well without order. I just don't. And so God is like teaching me peace and trust and faith in a different way because he knows how I am wired as well because he made me. And so I was just saying to my friend today, I was like, I get it now when it says wait on the Lord and he'll renew your strength. I always hated that because I was like, I need you to give the answer. I need you to like give some direction. I don't feel like I don't want strength. That means I got to keep going through it. I want to be uplifted, uprooted from the thing. I don't want strength. But I recognize now in the walk, like you get tired.
Yeah.
And you need strength because even if tomorrow everything's going to change, you still need strength not to turn back around and go the opposite way.
That's good.
You know what I mean? Because the thing is, the strength is in keeping on going.
Yeah.
While you're walking to this, you do need your strength renewed. God knows that we need our strength renewed all the time. This is why he says don't get weary, but almost like saying, I know that you're going to get weary. But I'm trying to tell you, even though it seems like it's going to be long, it's not going to be long.
That is it.
I was telling my friend the other day about how, when you look back, and you sometimes it wasn't even as long as you thought. Or I was talking about when we were trying to have, so when we got pregnant with Gregory, like all our kids were planned. We got pregnant with Greg, it was right away. We was like, let's have a baby. And literally, I think the first time we tried to get pregnant, it was like, bam. So then you expect it to happen that way every single time. And it didn't. And the second time, we were just, we're trying. And as soon as we like relaxed, first of all, I did end up getting pregnant, but it felt so long. But then when I counted at the doctor's office, because they ask you like, how long have you been trying?
It just felt like a lifetime.
It felt like forever, and I was like, it was only 2 months. It was 2 months or 3 months. I think it was 2. And it was 2 months. We tried for 2 months, and then I was pregnant. And then again, same thing with Juliana. I got pregnant, had a miscarriage in October. And you read these stories, and the stories are like, I got pregnant right after I had a miscarriage. So you have these expectations anyway. And then we were trying, and it took 3 months that time. So September, October, November, because I found out I was pregnant in December. So yeah, had the miscarriage in September. Yeah, got pregnant in December. Found out I was pregnant in December. So probably got pregnant in November. Anyway.
The lifetime makes sense. You do a 90-day bid in jail. I know this is an extreme analogy, but jail is probably the quintessential example of how you're just facing time.
Quintessential.
You're just facing time.
I like the word.
So that's why with trying to have a child, your mindset, instead of you just organically living and trying to have a kid, you're thinking about it every day. You're thinking about it. Am I? Can I? What should I do?
When is the cycle? When do I get pregnant? Am I ovulating?
90 days is a long time thinking like that.
So it felt long, especially because now I have this like urgency.
Yeah.
Because I lost the baby, and then when you do get pregnant, if you lose the baby, then you're like, oh my goodness. Like I finally could rest because I was pregnant, but now I can't rest because I got to start over trying again. And I'm, and so I didn't know. I didn't even know if I wanted to have a baby again. But I remember coming back from the hospital, and your sister sent me that message. Like, I had a dream, you had a little girl, and she was going to Juilliard, and you got a call, and they were saying it was paid for. Like, she ain't know. She ain't know that I had a miscarriage. She didn't know I was pregnant at all. And that was the second DNC, because the first one they didn't get everything out. And so, that gave me that hope, but it was a thing of like feeling like it took forever.
Yeah.
But really it was 3 months, which is not long at all, which is the nurses were like, that is so quick, because they actually tell you to try for a year before you start asking any questions about am I okay. And so to go back to the whole waiting on God for things, some things do take long, and then some things it's like when you look back, it wasn't that long. It was only 2 months. It was only that 3 months, but it felt like a lifetime in the moment. Even looking over the story of Joseph, which has been my thing right now, which is God has really been ministering. Like looking at the time that he spent in slavery to the time that he lived in the palace, it was such a small margin of suffering compared to the joy. However, he still was suffering, and we can't say he wasn't.
For a few years.
He was for some years. For something that he really had. He was innocent.
Yeah.
And you don't know, but then in the end, God give you the revelation. And sometimes you don't. You just are settled in, I don't know why that happened that way. But it had to be God. And then other times.
Oh, you're going into God's sovereignty conversation. That's
which is a rough one. And then sometimes you can look back like Joseph and be like, it wasn't you who sent me here.
Yeah.
It took years, because who knows, even if he was doing his best unto God, if he just had bitterness inside, that he was in this. Because look, when he had his first baby, he named him, the Lord has forgotten my sorrows. The Lord has brought me joy in my place of sorrow, or something like that.
Yeah.
Was what he called the baby. Because, back then, they'll name the baby what they was feeling. So, if I could think about what I was feeling at the time I had some of these kids, they would have had some wild names, depending on, if it was like that. But, he showed that there was some sorrow there for in the space that he was in. But that waiting, man, you need God's strength.
I think we're going to be quoting hindsight is 2020 for a very long time.
Well, I think that that's the space we're in right now in particular.
Yeah.
I think that we are getting a lot of revelation now about that type of like why and what is helping us. That's the strength we're getting to be like, one day, it's like Mr. Tim used to say, it's going to be greater later. One day you'll look back and be like, oh, I needed that for that. Like, we always talk about your business and everything that you want to do and the stuff that God has given you now, and how there's no way he could have given it to you before now.
Yeah.
You had to establish being a husband.
The context of life.
No, you wouldn't have knew that you would be a coach for husbands. You wasn't even a husband yet. God can't tell you when you're 6 you're gonna be a husband coach, and you ain't a husband.
That's good.
And then you got to put years under your belt before you're able to really credibly tell somebody, like, being through all that stuff. And even you got to have kids to help people with kids. I don't care what nobody say. All the Oprahs and all those ones, they're coming from a perspective that is not fully understood. There's just something about when you are a parent. There are things you understand. There are looks you could give other parents. There are things. I just said this to one of my friends today when we were talking. Like, there's things that we understand and know. I put posts on Facebook about parenting that could be real random, and all the parents understand what I'm saying. And so I think I really can't help you 100% fully with parenting.
Yeah.
Without being one.
Well, yeah, I think a statement you put on, and you probably put this in the ballpark, you put statements on social media that say this all the time, how parenting is a horrible but beautiful thing. Oh, yeah. Just to paraphrase
horrible, beautiful, awful, amazing.
How could you understand
terrible.
that not being a parent? Now, you could try to wrap your mind around it.
Yeah.
But in terms of walking in those shoes and being able to have mental context, historical
how could
context,
you love and hate the same
context?
thing?
Yeah.
How can you love and hate something at the exact same time and want to do it again?
Yeah.
It's hard to conceptualize that. I'm like,
hate giving birth, but we do it again.
No, it ain't the birth part.
I just use that as an example.
The birth part was easiest.
That's savagery speaking. I'm sure there's a lot of women out there that will not agree with that.
Well, I'm talking about birthing versus raising.
Oh, yeah.
The birth part was the easy part.
Yeah, no, I was just talking about watching you guys go through that much pain, how dreadful it could be, and then not too long after that, coming to this point where you're like, I could do it again.
I remember.
Did you not just remember the watermelon you pushed out?
Well, half the time you don't even ask that question right away.
Yeah,
it's later.
Yep.
And then you'll see, like, do you want more kids? And some people be like, no.
I just feel like it's one of those things that just can't be explained.
It can't be. There's no way.
but as a mother could relate to you.
Yeah.
A mother could understand that.
Yeah. Like, we're trying again. It's like,
yep.
Didn't you just get...
Yep.
But, even in all of that, like, there's just... I always be like, man, God did something in my mind to keep being like, somebody's missing again. It
makes me think, like, a Marine could look at their physical training and be like, man, it was dreadful, it was hard, but I got a lot of lessons and character built.
Yeah.
And the people who have absolutely no understanding at all about the military and would never conceptualize going would be like, man, you got that, bro.
Yeah.
Like, somebody screaming and hollering down my neck telling me what to do, but you can't
all day long.
You can't relate to it because you haven't walked in that person's shoes to gain the character. But I'm preaching to us though. You haven't walked in those shoes to gain the character that person has gained throughout their process. So we talk about us being in that Joseph season, coming out of a process of selling a home and being in this kind of a wilderness space, transitioning to the next space.
Goodness.
in the midst of it,
Being
this is
planted.
This is physical training. This is boot camp, and it's tough. But we also know, because of the character and the revelation that we got up to this point, that it will be worth it when we come out of it. You know what I mean? We had a space.
Later.
We had a space in the beginning. It was like, man, what the heck? Like, why?
It'd still be like that sometimes, but not as long. It's you're not in that space as long. Matter of fact, again, me and my friend was talking today, and she was talking about how, she was like, I kind of come to the conclusion sometimes that life just isn't fair all the time. And I said, well, you think about the scripture of the rain falls on the just and the unjust. God decides. And because he has these plans for us, these unique designs for how he wants us to walk.
Yeah.
It's not necessarily that it isn't fair. It's like, but this is your process.
Yeah.
And it's difficult to conceptualize that while you're looking at someone else and you're like, but they look like they were doing worse than me or whatever. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And she was talking about learning not to dwell on the why, because that's the part that will drive you crazy.
Good. That's really good.
Because you're like, why did this happen this day? Why? I don't understand. And it's like, we don't know, and we may in hindsight know, and we might not ever know, but we're settled in being able to, that's what it as well. We're settled in being like, well, but I understand. I get, man, Jackie Hill Perry saying like, in those spaces of being like, but God is good. His character is good. And so, but it's not always easy to.
But that's what keeps her grounded.
That was because she was like, I know inside that God is good. I know that all things work together for the good.
Yeah.
And if I really believe that, and I really believe that God is who he says he is, then I have to believe that I'm going to be okay, whatever that is.
Yeah.
I was looking at a post of, our friend who lost her child, and she said something like that. And I was like, man, there's strength in that.
Yeah. Because
I can't imagine and never want to know what that's like. But she's like, some days I'm good, and then some days I don't feel like I can make it. But if God is going to use this for somebody else, then it's worth it. And I was like, man, I just said I love you to her, because I just was like, man, that's heavy.
Yeah.
Because we don't know what God's trying to do in our lives, so we don't know what comes with it. I felt so. Here's the thing about like prophecy and God telling you stuff in part that kind of gets me going, but then in the end I'm like, what? I think about when God was showing me that it was time to sell our house, and I was just like, I was excited about it in a way, but it was because I was like it's like God lets me believe the rest of the stuff. It's like, I am telling you to do this. You'll only do this if you believe that you're going to get a home right away. So I'm going to let you believe that.
Yeah.
He don't be like, no. But it reminds me about, prophecy and knowing prophecy in part and not always knowing the ways of God. And I recognize a pattern with that, where God will let me feel like he'll let me go on with my other feelings because that pushes me to do it. Like, I'll know God said sell this house. But obviously he don't tell us the other side of it, like, but it's going to be a little bit before you buy your new home.
Oh, yeah.
Because, I'm saying that in a way of, like, I wouldn't have sold the house if I knew we was going to end up in an apartment paying 3 times what we was paying for a house.
Absolutely.
Ain't no way.
Absolutely.
Feeling stuck as a mug. But it's interesting because it's like, I'm like, God, you be just letting me think, going on and thinking.
Yeah.
But it's like, but I don't think it's to trick me. I don't think that he's trying to hurt me. I think that he's telling me the things that are necessary in the moment to say, the important part is you are living in someone else's house. That's what it was.
Yeah.
And we don't think about that there's a other side to it for someone else. Like, that home was for them.
To create their memories.
And they were looking for a house. And they had been looking for a house, from my understanding, for a little while. And when they saw our old home, they were like, immediately like, this is it. And And of course, I didn't expect it to happen that fast. That was the other part. I'm like, God, just let me be thinking. I'm like, it's going to probably take a while. Who's going to buy? House was beautiful, but I didn't know. I didn't think about. I thought about where it was, and I was like, I don't know who. This might take some time. No, no. As soon as we put that house on the market, 1 week, and we had to leave in 30 days, and so I was totally believing that there was a miracle going to happen in those 30 days.
It's going to be a miracle.
Oh, that's our theme song, ain't it?
Yep.
And so when we came back home to Pittsburgh after we had went and traveled to Delaware, and I'm just waiting for like any door. I was so angry that last day. I was just so angry. Like, you really are going to have us out here homeless? I'm pregnant. There was bombshell after bombshell.
We know the context of that. We went to Maryland and to Delaware with faith that doors are going to open.
Yeah.
And back to that sovereignty thing that you're pointing out, God's sovereignty and Him knowing what's best. He ain't obligated to let us know what the steps are.
But here's the thing, in the least cruel way ever.
Yeah.
Because that's the thing, and I say that in that way because sometimes it can seem so harsh.
Yeah.
Because of, God don't got to tell you nothing. But God is still kind.
He knows our nature.
He knows. And so the thing is, we were thinking something that now seems completely away from what we actually are, and He knew all that. And so I was totally believing it. And it was just bombshell after bombshell after that. I mean, we thought that, I was pregnant. So we're like, all right, well, we'll just go have an early gender reveal. We thinking it's a girl for sure. Everybody was dreaming about it, blah, blah, blah. It's not a girl. It was just like, you're homeless. You're not having what you, because the only reason why I was so confident is because I thought that God had said it. If God would have said it was a boy, it would have just been a boy. Mm-hmm. But I had multiple dreams. Other people had dreams. And those are things that I may not ever have the answer to why that happened in that time. Mm-hmm. But it was just one bombshell after the next. I just felt like God was betraying me. But I also was struggling because I'm like, God don't lie though.
Yeah.
So now I don't know what to think.
Yeah.
And then we are homeless, and then we are homeless, and then we got an apartment that we think is going to be temporary, but it's not. The pandemic, my grandma dies, the pandemic hit, we had a baby 2 weeks after. Like, it was just like, boom, 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 boom. We left our church, it was already in the process, we know, but God, gave that, okay, it's time. Mm-hmm. That happened. You don't know that you're going to grieve when you leave a ministry. I grieved very heavily. I was unsure. And God sent many, many messages like, no, you did not leave. You didn't leave too soon. Mm-hmm. And stuff like things that people were saying to me and who I trust, that I did not tell them, that inside I still was wrestling with it. But it was just one thing after the next, and then my mom died, and I thought I was going to lose my mind by the end of that year. Mm-hmm. I had to start therapy, which was the best decision I could have made. Mm-hmm. Because it was just so much. But now, it still feels heavy when I say all of it together, to be honest.
Yeah.
We're still in this process with this apartment, and it's a good size apartment, but it's still an apartment, and it's still 7 people in it, and it's still very expensive.
To me, the biggest component is it's not home.
It's the hugest component.
Yeah.
Is it's not home.
Yeah.
When you've owned a home, I say this all the time. Mm-hmm. I can't settle in a rented space.
Yeah. Because
I've owned a home. Mm-hmm. And so but now what we need is so much greater, and everything's crazy. The cost of living is all crazy, and just, it's like, I don't even know how to get out of the space of all of this. But then there's this space I am in now, where I'm also on riding on a peaceful stream with God. That's the best way I could describe it. Like I have my like moments. But God is like helping me to be grounded more quickly. And just moments where I'm like tripping. Or if I'm feeling, and he'll like give me a song I ain't heard in forever. Or like, or I'll just be encouraged or something. I'll hear the right word or whatever. God will do something to help me it is giving me, he's renewing my strength. And it took me a really long time, my whole saved life, and I've been saved for real. I really gave my life to God when I was 13. And even though it was a rocky ride, you know, I did not have understanding of that scripture until now. And I'm 38. Because I didn't like the thought of the strength being renewed.
You don't know until there's some stuff that gives you context.
Well,
you know, that the thing is that you can understand it in part, especially with scripture. Like that, we talk about this even going down to the marriage conversation with love. Like, love really does have to be tested and tried. Love is an action. So I need some things in order to demonstrate love. I need my patience to be tested. I need, you know, my own selfishness to be challenged.
Head to heart, or you know.
No, that's it. Head to heart.
Yeah, where like I can know something.
Yeah.
I can be like, I know that blah 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 blah.
Yeah.
But it's different when you finally like know it inside. It's different. It's
that creating that distinction between knowledge, understanding, and wisdom. They're all different things.
Yeah, that's why there's so many people walking around here with knowledge, but it's wrong.
Just smart dummies.
Yeah.
Very, very smart dummies.
And they don't even know it.
Yeah.
And you're looking like, do you hear yourself?
Yeah. I don't want to be that.
Nope.
In any area of life.
Yeah.
Carrying all this head knowledge, and it's like you're not applying.
But you know nothing.
You ain't applying nothing.
You have no idea. And there's so many people walking around here empty and broken and pretending that they're not because they have information
with no applied understanding.
And that's unfortunate, really. And so now there is a space that's freedom in a way is becoming freedom even more now, because I feel like we've been in a space of needing to get to know God differently than we once knew him. Not that what we knew of him was completely wrong.
Yeah.
But in this season and where we're going, it's just requiring something different. I even dreamed it where I needed a new foundation. There was people waiting for me, but I left my foundation at home. They were trying to put makeup on me, and I had left my foundation at home, and I was like, oh no, I got to get a new foundation. That was like, then I was like, oh. Wow. But they were all waiting for me.
Wow.
To get made up so I could go into the next thing.
I needed a new foundation.
Yeah, and I didn't, I had multiple. I mean, I had all kind of dreams. I had dreams where I was in the in hospitals and my mouth was like wired, and I was having like surgery and just this different stuff, and in the more recent ones, they've been like airport dreams and in the airplane or being on a cruise ship and all of that stuff have to do with like impact and massive, stuff, being handed a microphone even though I'm in the back. I've had dreams like that where they are bringing it to me and my voice is being magnified and stuff like that. That is like, you get why it's like, no, you're planted right now. It's just like what Charlotte Gamble has said on the Basement podcast about being hidden. It's like a season of being hidden. So there's this freedom, but it's such an uncomfortable freedom when you're used to structure. And when you're used to structure that you don't know is really actually restricting you and holding you back. You don't know that your foundation is all cracked up.
Well,
I remember I was
glad to chew on that a little bit.
Yeah. I remember I had this dream that the contractor was in my grandma's house, but it was my house, but it was my grandma's house, which is home, and there was new additions that needed to be added to the house. So, and it was interesting. I never told the guy.
This is the one when he was eyeballing the space, right? He put
I
his
think-
hands up and
No, that was different.
Okay,
That's
so
different.
another one. Okay.
Different dream. No, this one, interesting enough, the young guy who in some ways sort of took the space that I was doing in the church we were in was also in the dream. And the contractor needed to sign off on certain things, and he had a check to give to him. And he had another part, and there was all this new construction, and you could see the blueprint of the house that was about to be. It was like new addition and stuff. And I had some people down in the dining room, and they were like, and I was pregnant with Judah, but I didn't know it was Judah at the time. And they were like, well, how do you know you're really going to have this baby? How do you know you're really going to have a girl? And I said, because God said it. Because God said it, I know it's going to happen. And they were kind of doubtful, but I was like very confident in this dream that God said that I was going to have this baby. And then I went up the steps, which, going up steps and stuff usually has promotion and elevation and stuff. I went up the steps, and the contractor was up there with the blueprints to the house. He gave the paycheck to the young guy who is now like he's the music, like, even though there's other people in place, he's and he gave him a check. And he went on his way, and then I saw the blueprints on a clipboard that was for like the house, the rest of the house. And so it's almost like in this hidden season, God is building, he's fixing and putting a new foundation, which makes me thinking about creating me a clean heart. He's taking out the old foundation, the things that can't go.
Yeah.
He's putting in a new foundation, and he's building additions on to the house that I already had. So I know that even in that being my grandma's dining room, that represented like familiarity and what I'm used to in a space that I in the moment was currently in. But I seen it looked like a new house. It didn't look nothing like my grandma's house when I look at them blueprints. And so in some ways I know that you get what God is doing, and then you also don't get what he's doing. You're like, I don't get it, but I get it. But it's taken some time to get here and to be comfortable enough. And I can't say I'm fully comfortable. I just feel like when I get too rattled, then God's like, settle down. Like, I got you. He's renewing my strength, and then I'm good until I get rattled again.
I need some more strength.
And then he brings the strength. And he like, all right, I know you don't like.
Yep.
It's taking a step. And then I'm and then I show you. I know you rather me give you the whole blueprint, but that's not how this is going to go. Yeah. So he's not changing it for me. He's changing me for it.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah. That is the whole truth. And
he is not changing it for me. He is changing me for it.
Yeah.
That needs to be on a shirt.
Because it's a thing. It's a real.
God's not changing me for it. God is not changing it for me. He is changing me for it.
Yeah.
That's really good.
That's true. That's true.
I'm about to post that.
Yeah.
That's good.
It's the real truth. There are dreams that I've had that are vivid.
Ooh, that's good.
So make me get emotional, I might be an empath too.
Yeah, you cry all the time. I think you have this facade that you're not, but you.
I don't. I think I haven't acknowledged it because for so long I've had to not be that.
I thought I was. You cry more than me. I have my moments, but you've definitely become more vulnerable, more transparent as life has progressed.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, there are things that come and challenge that. Like my mom dying. Like that challenges the thug in you when your boo is dead.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like they ain't here no more.
Yeah.
It challenges that stuff.
And the result of that is not that you're walking around like a wounded animal. You've now accessed the space that you don't regularly access. Like you can connect with people on a deeper and different level.
Yeah.
So that's the part right there where you get just a really practical example of God's sovereignty.
Yeah.
Like He can't explain to you when your mom dies, you'll be more vulnerable and be able to connect with more people. You don't want to hear that. Like what?
Yeah.
Why does my mom have to die for me to connect with people? Why can't I just develop relationships?
I always could connect with people.
And connect with people. But in His sovereignty and Him understanding what is necessary for us to be built into,
it's where we're being sent, man.
Yeah.
It's our customized plan.
Yep.
And because of where God is sending us, because of what God wants for us, individually as well as collectively, there are things that I have to know how it feels. Because then I can feel more deeply and be more compassionate and give the real hugs when somebody's mom dies.
Yeah.
The devastation
That's
of that.
good. What a spin on. See, that's a completely different perspective of God versus He knows all. Just deal with it. It'll make sense when it comes. We don't paint Him as a father.
The thing is, God's kindness for me, there are questions that I've had that He has answered. There's some He hasn't answered yet, but I'm still waiting because I believe He will. That He has answered as to why certain things happened the way that they did. And I'm like, that, I don't understand. Because He was also my mother's father. And there are things He did specifically for her that have nothing to do with me, even though I'm affected by it. You know? But it was me seeing His love for her in something she may have deeply needed inside. You know, she dreamed that she'd be healed, and she explained the dream, and I can see it like I dreamed it, even though I didn't. And she said that she got up out the bed and she was walking around, and she was like, I was by myself. She was walking around, and she said it was bright around her and stuff, and she believed she'd be healed here. But what if God was showing her she was going to be healed there? And so, you know, a great mentor and a prophetess that God has used in our lives, when she passed, she already knew that she would. God had already showed her. And when she said, your mom was so happy to be able to be in the presence of God, man. Like, how could I want her to stay here and suffer, knowing that, you know, the one thing that I got to see from her is that she loved God deeply. And I'm not just saying that because, you know, people do. People be saying that when people be dying. They love God. Like, you be looking like,
I can't tell.
but did they know? No, my mom did love God. And you know, when the deaconess would go visit her and stuff, they're like, man, they always would say it. We love visiting your mom. We go to encourage her, and she be done encouraged us. It was the way she was. And so, you know, I got to see from her how to love God for real. You know, so the fake love for God doesn't make sense to me, because I'm like, just don't do it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But I feel like that about everything in life. Like, if you're going to be a cheater, don't be with me. You know what I mean? If you're going to, like, what's the point of the fake? Like, be you or don't. Like, don't be on Facebook pretending you're somebody you're not. Like, I don't understand that. I can't connect with that. That's a different type of, like, insecurity or whatever when people are like that. But I myself, God has made me a very transparent person. Mm-hmm. And so I don't connect with people who I can't, it's almost like I can't comprehend it. Like, why?
But why haven't you accepted my authentic, funny self?
Because that's not really you.
Talking all this stuff about people being real. You've been denying
Greg
me.
is not real.
You denied my humor thrice.
Greg Coleman,
Peter.
No, you ain't real with it.
Nah.
I mean, I already said though, I made you funny. When we got together, you was not funny. You can break the third wall you want to, my man.
Like Abbott Elementary.
They stayed looking at the camera. But yeah, man.
I love that show.
Yeah, that show is funny. But it's because it's supposed to be a reality show too.
Yeah.
But it's a show, but it's not a reality show. Yeah. It's hilarious. Yeah. But yeah. You wasn't funny before. Many people can attest to it. I made you
don't
funny.
Bring other people in this. You don't have statistical data.
Many people.
You don't have a poll.
They've all said it to me.
Many people try to be nice to you.
No,
but they ain't never tell me that.
They have said, yeah, he ain't.
Why they lie to me?
Great. I be killing them at work. And they like, yeah. Yeah, you used to like not be funny at all. Now, you know what? You know why you're funnier now?
Context?
No. It's because I bring the thug out of you.
So because you get credit for this?
Yeah, because you didn't know your ripping was like mediocre to none.
Man, I've been giving you ether since we got together. I put it on wax. No. Remember that? I got it on DVD.
Okay,
on CD.
So some of the words you just used already. So anyway, it's because...
We done. We going to bed. It's late.
Good night.
Love y'all. Hope y'all enjoyed this conversation. Peace.
Hey, before you go, make sure you subscribe to the channel and like this video.